thank you so much for staying with us here on TVC. Breakfast is not time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. First, we have a peek through, and we see the banner headline: Governors heavyweights gone for APC Senate tickets. Big battles in Ogun, Delta, Kano, Edo, Gombe. Others, smooth sail for Akpabio, Barao, Bamidele, Abiru, Oshiomole, and Buni. Next is this Nigerian newspaper: triumphs, shocks at APC primaries. Abbas Obasa Ameole sail through as Iovere fails. Losers kick, cry foul. Wike's joint coalition group wins Rivers. Next is the Blueprint newspaper: APC reps primaries. Wike majority leader Iovere loses. Ondo begs aggrieved aspirants. Kaduna aspirants seek review of exercise. Coalition wants irregularities addressed. Next is the Nigerian Tribune newspaper: as APC holds Senate primaries today, Ogun East, Kwara Central, Imo West remain contentious. Senators plot return tickets. Daniel campaign organization directs supporters to boycott Ogun East primary. And controversies hit reps primaries as more candidates emerge. Next is the Nigerian News Direct: Daniel Oyetola set for showdown ahead of APC senatorial primaries in Osun and Ogun State. Leadership newspaper also puts it differently: APC reps primaries, NWC stops state panels from announcing candidates. And the Observer Times says 2027 ex-governors, sitting governors to sets to turn Senate into retirement home. Over 45% of senators face losing their seats ahead of general elections. And next is the Abuja Inquirer: APC heavyweight battle for lone FCT Senate slot. Aduda, Wowo, and Abdullahi in crunch race. Wike towers over contest. Controversy trails reps primaries. And the Hope newspaper: Ondo primaries, top contenders and last-minute horse trading. Central Senatorial District, Fashion-Roti, Adigbomire, and Adu in thrilling contest as aspirants, stakeholders await reps primaries poll results. Poll committee describes exercise peaceful, orderly. And the Punch newspaper: Oyo school attack, Senate, Yoruba leaders demand action as distress videos emerge. Abducted principal, hostages plead for freedom as police probe viral footage. Next is the Platform Times: 87 abducted in 24 hours. Senate pushes state police reform. Borno, Oyo school attacks spark national outrage. Lawmakers vow swift constitutional amendments. And last but not least is the Sport and Life. Lukman celebrates scoring 9th goal, says he's very happy with the strike. Nigerian ensures perfect farewell for Griezmann. Okay, I'll be doing this with my colleague. I think I'm the returning now. Olamide, well done, Olamide. Ria, I'll say well done to you, and in-house analyst, Mr. Biodun Shomi, for deeper insight. I'll say well done to you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Right. So let's get down to brass tack. Olamide, I'll start with you. Looking at the Nation newspaper, we see that it has the same with this Nigeria Blueprint newspaper. We'll try to talk about them, run through them. The governors heavyweight gone for APC Senate ticket. And we can see big battles in Ogun, Delta, Kano, Edo, Gombe, others. And, all of these in Ogun, for instance, Governor Dakwabiodun's highly publicized, battle raised with Senator Gbenga Daniel, who is saying that his supporters should not even, show up to vote because of security, issues and all of that. It might be violent. So later today, we might be seeing different issues coming up there. Gombe State, the same thing, Governor Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya. So in all of these, we're seeing people who are gunning for Senate tickets, as we've seen, for the House of Reps.
Absolutely, it's a very juicy seat that anybody would want to take. But what we're increasingly seeing is what Robert Michels in political theory calls the iron law of oligarchy, and we're seeing it play out in how people want to take Senate tickets or any other gubernatorial seat, any other seat of power. It's no matter how democratic an institution claims to be, no matter what you want to say, it's usually run by a small political elite class. And unfortunately, we're seeing that play out in Nigerian politics. I have to be honest here.
Absolutely. Ria, what's your reaction to
If you ask me, Ibrahim,
Ibrahim, we see it happen a whole lot in the US, where we see, you know, people that are governors now go into the Senate. But my problem with Nigeria is that we've now removed it from getting into the Senate with so many ideologies, but rather getting there thinking that is your retirement, thinking that you will receive a lot of protection there. They say power is sweet. We all love power, but I also believe that there should be a time where you bow out. Oftentimes we see a lot of people, you finish your term as governor, the next thing you want to go to the Senate because you believe that once you're there, you're still untouchable. So for me, that's where the conversation arises. I believe that the young minds as well should be able to, you know, verge for that particular seat. When we talk about, you know, some of the people that have been governors and, you know, also been senators, talking about like Senate presidents, we have Bukola Saraki. You know, he was governor of Kwara State. He became Senate president. Even the recent Senate president we have, Godswill Akpabio, he was, you know, governor of Akwa Ibom as well. So we've seen it happen. It's not like a surprise to us. But what really worries me right now is that politicians are now thinking that when I get to the Senate, all my things will be forgotten. So for example, if I've lived a bad life or I didn't govern my people well, once I come out, I won't be untouchable because I'm in the Senate. So for me, I believe that it's the ideology that's the problem for me, because we see it happen in US all the time. But when it comes to Nigeria, you know, that's my only problem with it.
Most definitely. Yeah. So let's move on to, still talking about the Nation newspaper. Governors heavyweights gone for, you know, APC Senate tickets. So we see as many as 97 senators and 9 governors are facing steep operational hurdles or primary challenges to retain or gain their support in the National Assembly. The National Assembly primaries have been heavily impacted by sudden disqualifications, protests, and localized skirmishes. How do you view, you know, all of these intrigues playing out with the direct primary that is actually setting up, you know, a whole lot of things, because it's making some people lose their seat, it's making others jittery, and some very comfortable in going into the contention?
Yeah, overall, what we've seen playing out is the governors' forum seems to be more powerful than the Senate forum. That's what is really playing out. If you notice, governors are allowed to come back for their second term, and then you see the senators have to fight for their ticket. Now, the layer of power is such a powerful thing that even when, after leaving office as a governor, you still want to remain relevant. If you look at, say, for instance, in Ogun State, 2 past governors have been to the Senate.
And friends.
Yeah, they're all friends. They're all friends. They're all friends. Amosun Ojide, my Excellency, His Excellency, my governor, they're all friends. I mean, no doubt about it. They will sort out their differences later. 2 of them have been former governors, and also one a former senator, another a sitting senator, and then you have Governor Dapo, who is also hoping to go to the Senate. And on the other side of it also, you have the former governor, the real leader of the party in the state, Chief Olusegun Osunba, who has never been to the Senate. So it's a bit complex. What we see going on is everybody has to try and be relevant within the scheme of things. But notwithstanding, the issue of the direct primaries, you know, it's something brilliant, because we've seen internal party primaries, you know, playing out very well. So it's not a matter of anybody saying Baba Sokwe or somebody impose somebody. No, it's about how you play your politics within your state, because all issues are local. So it depends on how you play it out and whether you are able to have your way or not. No, that does not mean that the governors are not very powerful. They are highly influential in what happens.
Right. So we race on with this Nigeria saying triumphs, shocks at APC primaries. The same thing for Blueprint newspaper. Wiki's allies, Buhari's sons, Abbas Kalu win tickets. So with all of this, Abbas, of course, returning. Obasa is saying, I've been the Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly for 10 years. It's not time for me to, you know, step a bit ahead. Amewule also scaled through. Buhari's son, I could see Ria's post who said that.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about it, of course.
But Olamide, what say you to all of this?
The primaries this past weekend showed us that there is a very elite consolidation of Nigerian political parties. We are seeing that here. The names that are even dominating the headline, when we look at Wike, Buhari's son, these people tell us these are not just isolated politicians. These are politicians with deep political networks. They are entrenched within deeper political influence and deeper political systems. And it makes me worry a little bit. Earlier on, I raised the issue of the iron law of oligarchy, which says that no matter how democratic an institution claims to be, a small political elite class will keep on emerging and winning dominance, and that is worrisome. But in regards to Buhari's son, what I will say is this. people were screaming political inheritance online. There was sentiment that his political inheritance, Buhari's legacy lives on. If the boy is capable, sorry, the man is capable, let him lead. He won fair and square.
Right.
But very interesting, those primaries were highly contested, highly contentious, but at the end of the day, we're seeing that these primary elections are now becoming more important than general elections, and general elections are becoming secondary, and it's a very interesting political shift there.
Very quickly.
If you ask me, if you lost the primaries, please go home and sleep, because we are tired of all the
No, they won't have to sleep.
No, because
they'll have to continue.
No, because we're tired of all the court cases
Yes.
and all the battles and everything. If you lost, you lost. Maybe try next time. I believe that that's something also our politicians need to understand when it's time, to just say that I did not win, let me let it go. Because honestly, Brian, we're tired of court cases. But I just want to talk about Yusuf Buhari for a minute, because a lot of people were talking about, Yusuf, Buhari's legacies and all of that. But I believe that he knows that he's getting into a very, very important terrain, and he needs to know that all the mistakes his father had made, he's now the one to correct it. So when I predicted the other time, I said, I see him, winning. I said it, I need to get my money because I predicted that he was going to win that ticket. Right. But for me, the only advice I want to give to him that, of course, there were mistakes that his father had made. We hope that he's going to be that person to correct that mistake and change the way people see the Buhari family again.
Absolutely.
So a very big congratulations to him.
So looking at the leadership newspaper, APC reps primaries, NWC stops state panels from announcing candidates, the issues. So I'm wondering how you think APC will be able to manage the internal, crisis, because some people are not really happy with what has been. Aggrieved aspirants and party members reported extensive irregularities, including the non-availability of official party registers, which triggered protests in major hubs like Ibadan. So the national leadership and the national office will now be the Central Results Collation and Announcement Center for the APC. How do you see this, playing out in the coming days very fast, if you can?
Yeah, there's no doubt. You can't have a major exercise like the APC primary and not expect problems. There will be some problem. Certainly, it's not 100% spot on. So we are beginning to see issues, arising from here and there. But that does not necessarily mar the whole exercise, which largely seems to be well conducted, and people seems to be satisfied with the outcome. So, but the NWC has a role. That's the National Working Committee of the APC. There are places where people are disaffected. Nobody's taking advantage of the fact that, which they could choose to take advantage of the fact that you have no place to go after you have lost the primary since after May 10. But then they still wish to look into issues and then see what they can do about them. So for me, I think that's a good way to provide an avenue to resolve problems.
Let's do this very fast again. Observer Times, 2027, ex-governors, sitting governors, set to turn Senate into retirement home. I saw you chuckled when I read it a little earlier. So we have governors like Abdul Razak for Kwara State, targeting Kwara Central, which he mentioned. Also, we have Bagana Zulum. Zulum actually did a very good job, as governor. So, going to the Senate, I feel it's cool, but still retirement home. Abdullahi Sule, Nasarawa, and then Ahmed Fintiri, May Malabuni, Yahaya Bello, also coming out from wherever he's been, to gunning for the Senate.
It's important that we all remind ourselves that the Senate remains a legislative institution, not a retirement plan for governors. Political scientists call this elite recycling. Essentially, people staying within the corridors and the seats of power and transitioning between different levels and cadres of power without ever truly leaving the seat. And this is not the first time we've seen it. Like Ria said earlier on, we've seen governors transition into the Senate. Ojim Zokalu, Seriaki Dixon, Rocha Sokoracha, several of them have made that transition from governorship into the Senate. And this is elite recycling. We need new faces, new seats, new ideas.
A matter of fact, it also affects the youth. It also affects, the fact that we want fresh ideas, as you've said. But then, Ria, if you look at Abuja and Kwara very quickly, APC heavyweights battle for lone FCT Senate slot. We know Senator Kingibe is there. Wike is not going, but then he has his own influences as well. We have Philip Aduda's entrance into the race. We also have
Aisha Yusufu.
all of this. Aisha Yusufu, etc., etc. The FCT is more, anyone who governs the FCT is more like a governor.
FCT is a very, very important...
No, I mean, that's for the minister. Talking about the Senate.
but when we even talk about the FCT Abuja as well, this is like the center of unity. We do not joke with that particular place. But for me, this is very tight. We just have to keep our fingers crossed to see how it plays off. But Ibrahim, when we speak about issues like this, I believe that it's also time. I want to see the youths representing. I want to see the youths, coming up. These names, we know these names. We've seen them over and over again. But what happens to the ones that have really great ideologies that are just there, lacking behind, just trying to get in to make, Nigeria right. So it's beautiful that we see that it's a tight one, a lot of competition, but I cannot wait for the fact that I'll see that people who have been in power for some time will just maybe just take a bow, and let's also see what, you know, young people can do when given, you know, that kind of seat.
When you mentioned the US the other time, you know, we have legislators who have been there for more than 10 years. So it's okay, that's what they think. But then let's just race on. There's always time to talk about all of these.
Yeah.
The Punch newspaper and the Platform Times, Mr. Shomi, talking about Oyo, which we started off with, Oyo school attack. Senate Yoruba leaders demand action as distress videos emerge. The same for Platform Times. 87 abducted in 24 hours. Senate pushes state police reform. We saw the IGP introducing NCRU, that's rapid response, you know, for, I've forgotten the name, but the new, just like how we birthed RRS. So there is this one that he actually brought up, you know, in Nigeria, across the state. But we are still looking for state police reform, which is still, you know, facing that red tapeism, do you think?
Yeah, look, honestly speaking, we are asking the IG to do the impossible. He understands the whole issues around it, and he's been out with his own positions on state police. So I think the ball is actually in the Senate court. Unfortunately, the Senate is on recess. I think they're resuming 2nd June, if I'm right, to facilitate whatever they're doing on it so that they can pass it on to the state houses of assembly. But particularly in relation to this spate of kidnapping, these things will not necessarily go down. Don't forget, there are those who wants to feed onto it and then claim that, look, the federal government has failed Nigerians on security. We are in election period, so you will see more of these things happening, and over a period of time, they will die down.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the very last one on the paper for review this morning. Is a Sporting Live, Mr. Shomi, your guy, talking about Atletico Madrid 1 and Girona 0. Lukman celebrates scoring 9th goal, says he's very happy with the strike, and Nigerian ensures perfect farewell for Griezmann. How do you review this?
Oh, look, Lukman is fantastic. I mean, with 9 goals to Nikiti now, there's no doubt he's one of the top scorers, you know, in Europe. And for me, it's good news for Nigeria because he's back to his scoring form. That's good for us. But if you allow me to also quickly mention our achievement in the senior weightlifting athletics, particularly I'm focusing on the Nigerian women, what they did in Egypt. Fantastic. We won 29 goals, which made up of 29 medals, 13 gold, 12 silver, and 3 bronzes. You will not believe it. On the final day, our women won 5 medals in one day.
Amazing.
Congratulations to
the editor of Sporting Life paper.
So proud to be a woman.
But all the same,
became third overall.
All the same, it's so sad that we're not also going to the World Cup. You know, which is going to be something amazing.